Hello, everyone. Greetings, and you're welcome to this platform once more. Today is Friday, and this Friday is the 7th day of November 2025. I am delighted to be here. So, we have another piece of conversation regarding the situation in La République du Cameroon, and of course, drawing some conclusions on that and reflecting on what is happening in the southern Cameroons, and to have the opportunity to continually talking about what our way forward is. So it has come to pass that Mr. Paul Biya has taken the oath of office. He has taken the oath of office for the eighth time. We know that this has been a very controversial moment in La République du Cameroon. Street protests have continued in that country unabated. I just had the opportunity to watch today images of what is going on, especially in northern Cameroon, in northern of La République du Cameroon, in the three northern regions, where there is serious action to stop the flow of products from the northern region to the southern regions. And so I've seen a lot of trucks parked, and I've seen some very long trucks taken and used in crossing the roads to bar movement, to obstruct movements, to make things really difficult and complicated in the southern regions. And so it's still a very tense atmosphere out there in Cameroon. I've also seen images of continuous strife in some parts of the city of Douala, the economic capital of the Republic of Cameroon, an indication that there is still so much anger in the air. And at the same time, I'm seeing some of the talking heads of the Biya ecosystem still, going on and making a lot of provocation. With very triumphalist publications, and like telling the other people, those are they consider the losers, that as a matter of fact, you have to swallow this bitter pill for another 7 years. And they say you have to keep looking at these our ugly faces, being in control and in command for another 7 years. But of course, we had the opportunity to pay attention to Paul Biya's hot mic moment during the swearing in yesterday. And I know the entire world has captured that. Of course, it's still on the CRTV web. I know it was a live coverage, and despite all the restrictions that were put in place, and CRTV being the only, the only news organ authorized to be at a place with cameras and with the locations where they had to be extremely restricted. And so there was no way they could even get off this, because the mic was hot since Paul Biya had to talk. So you could hear Kavai Yege Jibril saying that it was time for him, the most awaited moment for him to rise up and take his oath of office. And Kavai too, because he's already running senile, didn't take time to pay attention as to whether he had already stood up or not. So he started reading the phrase that would lead to him saying, "I do so swear." And while he was reading, Biya was still seated. So it required an aide to walk up to him, just like it happened in Washington, D.C., to tell him to stand up. And we could hear Paul Biya fidgeting in the background. Je dois me lever. Il est déjà temps. Je dois me lever. And all of those things. I have that moment. I actually downloaded it on CRTV, copied it, and kept it for posterity. And you see, and the whole world captured that one. Indication Biya does not even know, did not even know what was going on where he was. Biya did not even know. He just seated there. Just being teleguided. They tell him, do this, he do that, he does it, do that, he do this, move, he moves, stand, he stands, sit, he sits, read this, his position is able to read it, he reads it, and things like that. So you could see this is someone, like I said, who at least 3/4 of the time during the day wouldn't even know where he is. I will spend a lot of the time sleeping. This is someone who is now expected to run a country of over 30 million people. This is someone who is now expected to sit down and look at policy, make decisions. This is somebody who is expected to hold meetings with foreign leaders to discuss diplomatic and trade relations for Cameroon. This is someone who is expected to handle a situation as chaotic as it is right now. So despite even reading all the platitudes that he read yesterday, That swearing-in ceremony left Cameroonians yesterday more at pain than it reassured. This for a fact. It left people crying. I've seen quite some people, on social media, just come up, sit on their cameras, and they were weeping and they wept. Some for 5, some for 10 minutes, all the way, and just at the end ended like that, just with weeping, because the people are bewildered, the people are dumbfounded, the people are totally confused. They can't understand what is going on. I saw a question, one asking, but God, there are too many countries in the world. Why just Cameroon? What did we do? What crime did we commit that cannot be forgiven? Yeah, this is something that, these are questions, they are all the same legitimate questions. Because as you see, there's clear indication from the way things are happening in that republic that if nothing is done, in 2032, Paul Biya will be candidate for president again if he has not died. Now we need to come to one reality. And this is the one thing that I've always wanted to tell the people of La République du Cameroon. Those of you who have been sitting and saying, oh, you are waiting for Biya to get to the level where he's incapacitated and he cannot run the country, then he will be forced to step aside or he will die and change will come. The events of Thursday, the 6th of November, 2025 should teach you that dead or alive, Paul Biya will remain your problem. It should teach you that senile or not senile, Paul Biya will remain your problem. It should teach you that Paul Biya can never be removed through the ballot box or even by being incapacitated. The only way you get change in that country is get into the streets in extremely huge and overwhelming numbers that the system could be forced to come down. This is as simple the arithmetic as it could be. If you are there sitting and telling yourself that, okay, Jean de Dieu Momo said, yeah, it's just 7 years. After 7 years, maybe he will finally go and think, no. That going does not exist. You look at all those other very old people who were standing around him, looking like witches and wizards with Chantal there, and you could see Jacques Faman Nongo's face is finished until even Jacques Faman Nongo himself is becoming delusional. You could see all of them. You look at their faces, you understand these are faces of people who are saying, this cow that we have, we will milk until we can milk no more. Oh yes, that is what is going to happen. And so those people are what they call in French les jouisseurs. They will never allow the system to crash. Now the next thing that people even need to fear the most is whether they will ever be in the know even if Paul Biya dies. Oh yes, this is a legitimate thing. This is something that people need to worry about. Will they ever even be informed if Paul Biya dies? Because the manifest will of these people demonstrated the fact that they know that Paul Biya is the only unifying figure among all of them. Among all of them, those witches and wizards surrounding him. No one among them can be trusted to represent their interests as Paul Biya is doing. And so while they all hate each other, while they are not ready to, cooperate with each other for the betterment of the country, they are ready to cooperate when it comes to maintaining themselves in power. They are ready to cooperate when it comes to protecting their individual interests. They are ready to cooperate when it comes to teaching Cameroonians a lesson. It's not like they're about to bring to you development. I presented here the Stratégie de conservation du pouvoir. I always go back to it because it should be a reference document to everyone. I had circulated it before. There's now an English version. I will circulate it again very widely. Let everyone take the pains to read through it. When you read through that document, you understand, they make clear their intention is not to develop. No. If there is development, the people will become rich, the people will have money, the people can have the means and start thinking independently and be able to overcome them. They will not be able to gather women like you saw those mothers that they gathered to go and cheer Paul Biya on his passage, and in the end, they gave them bread, sandwich with some kind of stuff inside, and you could see those people holding and eating in the streets like babies, looking stupid and funny. So they know The only way they can control you, hold you hostage for many, many, many more decades is that you don't have the possibility of creating your own wealth. When you don't have farm to market roads, when you don't even have a good road network circulating, you don't have good communications networks to enable you even do business. The business environment is so complicated in such a way that when you start blossoming and they see that you are really having serious arguments, they need you to get into their circle so that you don't become I mean, a problem, so that you don't become an existential problem. And if you refuse to get into their circle, they use taxation to come back to you, and they say they have to do reassessment upon reassessment. And when you see that you're about to crash, to crumble, you will join them. And that is how that tribe, or between that ethnic group, that national ethnic group, or between 2,500 to 3,000, will grow a little to replace those who are dying out. And so it's a very, very delicate situation. In fact, La République du Cameroon is doomed, really doomed. Now you're talking about Issa Chiroma Bakari. Of course, I know that the expectations of everyone have been what is happening to Issa Chiroma Bakari. He hasn't communicated in 48 hours. He hasn't said anything. People are waiting. There were expectations yesterday. Of course, those indications came out from his camp. Even we heard Eric Chinje come out and say that, something was going to happen by the close of yesterday, and it finally did not happen. And it's creating a lot of pain in people's hearts, in the hearts of his supporters. It's creating a lot of panic, and that communication void is even already being filled up. Yeah, that communication void is being filled out by social media speculations. I've seen some media posts saying, "Oh, it's so tough for him. The news is not good for Issa Chiroma out there in Yola in Nigeria. That out there in Yola in Nigeria, it seems he's under house arrest. His movements have been seriously restricted. He cannot go out. His communication is seriously controlled, and they've apparently even asked him to stop communicating and all whatnot." I'm seeing that on social media. You'll find some actually say, "Oh, there are serious negotiations going on between Nigeria and La République du Cameroon to hand him over, because they previously had refused to hand him over, and so it's a very tense situation, and that's why the Cameroon government is not saying anything about it or about him, because they are hoping that they don't want to say something to mar the negotiations that are going on between them and Abuja, involving a lot of money to have that kind of exchange happen." So you're getting all that information. At the same time, you recognize that Eric Chinje said in his outing, and I don't know if Eric Chinje wants to put his image or to put his reputation in jeopardy by coming to say he traveled with Issa Chiroma Bakari, and Issa Chiroma Bakari was back in Garoua and ready to take the oath of office. That aside, I have tried to reach out to Chris Anu about twice this morning, but unfortunately, he wasn't picking his phone. I guess he's resting, because I saw a segment from Chris Anu, because we exchanged notes right up until late yesterday, where we were still expecting to hear. And so Chris Anu came up with a segment in which he said that he had spoken to Issa Chiroma Bakari in person. I think he put up that broadcast late in the night, that he had an exchange with Issa Chiroma Bakari in person, and Issa Chiroma Bakari said he was putting together a few things. He was looking at various strategies with his aides, with his advisors, and getting ready to communicate and getting ready to move on to next steps. But he wanted to ensure that all the I's are dotted and all the T's are cut. And so I wonder too if Chris Anu will want to put his own reputation at stake by saying, "I personally spoke to him," because saying that I have spoken to someone close to him is different from saying I have personally spoken to him. So on basis of that, I think people should be patient. People should absolutely be patient. This is also a very delicate moment for Issa Chiroma Bakari and his supporters. You can see that the people are really, really anxious to get up there and take their destiny into their own hands. I've also seen footage of citizens of La République du Cameroon right now really coming out to to apologize to the people of Ambazonia, to the people of the southern Cameroons, that in the past they never understood why we were fighting. They never understood why we had reason. They never understood why we wanted them out of our territory. But now it's clear to them that we had a right, because we had seen all this coming, and we had noticed that they were so weak and they were so incapable of standing up for for their rights, of standing up for for the betterment of the community. And so therefore they could see for themselves that we had embraced the hard way, which is absolutely the only way. And so a good lot of them are now repenting from addressing us as those strangers, those Biafrans, those terrorists, and those everything. Will I say it's too late for them? I don't know. But what I think is, more and more they are understanding where we're coming from. It even gets compounded when a lot of them are now getting the kind of treatment that we have been getting for years, and they are seeing for themselves what we have been going through from the hands of those that idiotic, stupid, and evil so-called forces of law and order. I refer to them as forces of evil, forces of lawlessness and disorder. Because look at what is happening now. In Yaoundé, in Douala, in other cities of La République du Cameroon, they are disproportionately arresting, yes, those they call the Wajo, the citizens of the northern regions, indigenous from the northern regions of La République du Cameroon, the Damawa, north and far north. They are arresting them in big numbers. In Yaoundé, when those people, the commissariats and gendarmeries close to Briqueterie, that's in Yaoundé too, when the feel broke, they just move into Briqueterie and capture, arrest as many as possible, and go and lock them up for no good reason. And for any one of them to go out, they have to start paying between 50,000 and 200,000 CFA francs to get their freedom. Oh yes. Does that sound familiar? That's what they have been doing in the southern Cameroons. I've told people time and again that those idiots they refer to as forces of law and order, gendarme, police, soldiers of La République du Cameroon, are public kidnappers. Those are official kidnappers. When I said that, people will say, oh no, you're just talking. No. They are official kidnappers. We saw that on the eve of the proclamation of the result of the presidential election. They went to Biya, went to people's houses, removed over 500 young men for no good reason from their houses, and took them to the cells, held them against their own will, and told them that they had to sign an undertaking that they will not be part of any demonstrations when the results of the elections are proclaimed. And for most of them to go out, they had to pay money. That's what they have been doing. You recall I talked about how they captured people in Malende in their hundreds and went and kept them, and were collecting 500,000 to 1 million. And those who did not have money to give, they collected even cocoa in exchange for their freedom. This is what has been happening in the southern Cameroons. This is the evil they have been doing to our people. Now they are doing it on their own citizens. In Douala, they are even capturing, including Bamilikes, so they are targeting the Nordies and the Bamilikes in Douala, capturing them in good numbers, detaining them, and collecting huge sums of money before releasing them. So, for those evil people of the forces and law and order, so-called law and orders and order in Cameroon, they would definitely not want this crisis now to end. They will want this political upheaval to continue, because that gives them room to get illicit money. Because the government hangs on them for its survival, and so they are allowed to do all of these things with impunity. It's authorized. Yes, it's authorized, because Cameroon, don't make any mistake thinking that Cameroon is a civilian regime. No, it's not a civilian regime. It's some kind of civilian military rule. That is a small bunch of people who are using the military, the forces of law and order, who are paid by the taxpayers' money to keep themselves in order, and in exchange to keep themselves in power. And in exchange, they allow those forces of law and order to rampage and do anything they want to do on the citizens for their personal betterment. So that's a kind of give and take. So no matter what they do to you, where will you go to? Who will you contact? The United Nations will only come in and say, carry out thorough investigations and hold the culprits responsible. Who should do that investigation? The same system that has given those people the power of impunity? All of these things are happening because the very corrupt international community has decided to continue collecting the natural resources of Cameroon in exchange for granting Paul Biya impunity in anything he does. Other leaders in other countries that have done only 1/5 of what Paul Biya has done have found themselves coming under serious fire. The most disgusting and the most disgraceful of all those structures is the Commonwealth of Nations. That is a structure that was recognized around the world usually as being a body that stands up so seriously for the respect of individual and collective rights of the people within the Commonwealth space. But what is happening in Cameroon? Even when Paul Biya organizes such a sham and useless election, stealing the wills of the people, capturing opponents, torturing them, even making it impossible for opponents to go campaign in some kind of places, using all kinds of threats on the people, only the threats of the use of force. With Paul Atanganji threatening people every day, you will do this, we will cut your throat, we will slide your head and all of that. The Commonwealth of Nations was among the first organizations to come and congratulate Paul Biya on another tenure. And the same body elsewhere will play differently. It's so embarrassing. Really embarrassing. So the people have to understand. And Tchiroma, Bakari, told them this in one of his outings, where he said he had reached out to the international community, reached out to neighboring countries, reached out to whoever, and they told him that the people themselves have to take their destinies into their own hands. I've seen a video circulating. In good time, I'll play it here, of an indigenous of the north, of the northern regions. He actually has a YouTube channel himself, and he wasn't laughing when he said this. He said beginning the 6th, yesterday, of November 2025, any divisional officer, senior divisional officer, mayor or whatsoever, or governor in the northern regions that will not pay allegiance to Issa Tchiroma Bakari, they should pack their things and leave. Did you hear that? That they should pack their things and leave. And he said this, that if they don't pack their things and leave, they will be returned to their people in coffins. He was saying it on video. It's not an audio, which means it's not somebody hiding somewhere and just saying it and being afraid of being identified. His face is there, and I shall play it here in good time. Let me even see if I can see that little slot here, just to authenticate what we are saying. I know that no one is doubting what I'm able to say here, but sometimes us just having a quick look at it or just having a quick listen does help too, to let our people understand that these things we are talking about are very serious issues. I don't know if I didn't prepare that to come up with right now, but I was just trying to check if I could see. But again, what I'm saying is this is profound. This is deep. Okay, here we go. Here.
Et si vous ne le faites pas, vous allez rentrer dans le cercle. Ça va prendre le temps. Il faudra marcher en permanence avec 10 militaires derrière nous. À partir de la semaine prochaine, si vous ne sortez pas pour faire allégeance publiquement au président élu, vous n'êtes plus le bienvenu. Non. Vous n'avez rien à faire chez nous. Vous partez de vous-même ou alors vous allez rentrer dans des cercueils.
So, that is very clear. Did you hear that? Listen, and again, I must always say this. On this platform, I don't promote violence. I communicate. I share information. I make sure we understand what is going on around us. And this falls in line with that. So what he's saying here is serious and it's grave. It tells you, and he says that it's next week, because he actually said it's from next week. So they have a week of grace. I heard him say that if these divisional officers, senior divisional officers, governors in the northern regions don't come out by next week to publicly swear allegiance to Issa Tchiroma Bakari, whom he calls the president-elect, then they are no longer welcome in the northern regions. Then it is time for them to pack their things and leave by themselves, or they will be returned in coffins. Worse, he says that it could take time. It could take weeks, but they will attain that objective. And he tells them, if you must stay and you don't do what we have said, that means that at every point in time, you must have at least 10 soldiers, 10 around you. But even then, it could take us some time, but what we are saying will happen. This is a very strong threat. And when you look at the way it is going, it should be frightening. It should be concerning to anyone in La République du Cameroon. Very concerning. But for us in the southern Cameroons, we had expected this. I had talked about this on this platform year in, year out. At least for the past 2.5 years, I have been saying that the time is coming when La République du Cameroon will fly up into pieces. I had said this on this platform several times. If you never heard me well, go back and check a lot of my outings, especially for 2023, 2024. I said we are going to get to this day. And this is the day we are getting to. I already got last night that in the Logon and Shari, that the senior divisional officer of the Logon and Shari and a divisional officer in one of the subdivisions there, that they crossed over and slept, but in N'Djamena. Yes, that they went and stayed the night, but in N'Djamena, out of abundance, out of fear and of abundance of caution, because they were wondering whether the people could be coming immediately or they're going to wait for the 1 week. This tells you where the country is already right now. And so, therefore, a new front has now been officially opened with the northern regions. So in the northern regions now, it's no longer going to be the fight against Boko Haram. No. So they will soon not be able to even get to where Boko Haram is. In the northern regions now, they are going to find themselves focusing on trying to fight civil disobedience, on trying to fight an insurrection which is likely going to be armed. And you know, as usual, they have started throwing all kinds of things left and right. I saw a post on social media saying that I don't give it credence. I cannot confirm that the information is verified because I've not independently verified it. But that piece of information says that they got satellite images last night of a lot of Fulanis on motorbikes crossing in from the Adamawa state of Nigeria into the northern regions of Cameroon. What for? I can't tell. You know, this is what happens. When you are a thief, your ears are always on the alert. Your eyes, you're always on the alert, because anything that happens, you have the feeling that apparently you're finally being discovered and they are coming to you. So you will have that kind of thing. The level of impetuousness in La République du Cameroon is going to become really, really, really high. And so, my people, as Southern Cameroonians, this is a big message to all of us. A very big message to all of us. For those of you who are still been hanging on the fence, for those of you who are still been wondering whether you need to come in fully or not come in fully, for those of you who have been saying that go away with that, your Ambazonia, that your Southern Cameroons, I guess you are seeing now that you are literally in limbo. If you are still hanging up, then you are telling yourself that you are going to now finally belong to the Bulu Republic, that to the Bulu Ekan Republic. Because now it's literally going to be called a Bulu Ekan Republic. If the 3 northern regions are out, the southern Cameroons is out. And then you have the east, which is doing everything to want to align with the 3 northern regions. So you have Paul Biya now just with about, 4 regions that he can comfortably say, but even the littoral is boiling. And the west region, I don't know what they are thinking. So you find that the country right now is already in serious fragments. And soon everyone will be running their own part of the country the way they want. So this is exactly what happens when a system believes that they are going to use force on the people all the time for eternity. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't last. And so you, the sons and daughters of the southern Cameroons that are still fighting in the army, in the armed forces of La République du Cameroun, you should be thinking, you should be asking yourselves questions. Are you going to allow yourself to be killed in the northern regions of Cameroon? Killed in your own land, in the southern Cameroon? Oh, yes, because quite some of you have already been killed in the southern Cameroons, in the land of your own birth, to protect the Bulu Ekan kingdom. Is that what you are going to be doing? Ask yourself these fundamental questions. You have members of your family who are members of the armed forces of La République du Cameroun. Call them, talk to them, ask them questions, tell them to search their souls, search their minds, search their consciences, and ask themselves if it is not time for them to fall back home and do the needful. Because now I will tell you, like seriously, for the situation in the southern Cameroons, fields are wide. Harvest is waiting. The only question that's being asked now is who will bear the sheaves away? More and more, La République du Cameroon is already pulling out forces to go and try and stem the tides that are coming from up north. And it's going to be too critical and too difficult for them because hunger, oh yes, real hunger, would teach the people of the Bulu Ekan Republic a lesson that they will not, forget in a hurry. The people of the northern regions are equally as determined people like those of the southern Cameroons. And so I'm happy that they're taking their destiny finally into their hands. So we will be observing the situation on the other side. We'll be waiting to hear when Issa Tchiroma Bakari finally does come up. And I know that you are anxious to want me to hear from me what I think about the letter of congratulations from the United States of America from the U.S. Embassy in Yaoundé to the Biya regime. Congratulations on his inauguration. I would definitely come to that in my next broadcast. So I don't want to have this broadcast long. I don't want to make it long. We'll have to stop here, and I may come back here today if need be, as the situation develops, because I have a keen eye on what is going on, and I'll make sure I come back here to help us interpret and understand exactly what is going on, have an exchange, and know how to conduct ourselves around. So let's continue to be patient while we wait to hear what Issa Tchiroma Bakari will be saying on the other side. But meantime, as a Southern Cameroonian, ask yourself the questions I asked, and let's do the needful. To God be the glory. Thank you.